Hey guys, welcome. Thank you for deciding to be part of our community over at Curious Lola. We're going to be going over your flower recipes that you received in your email and walk through a little bit about that. And then we're going to put together an invoice. Um, I think I mentioned in the email that pricing is somewhat science, somewhat art. I will tell you that the science part for me is coming up with that X factor. The art comes from kind of building a loose structure for pricing for the kinds of things that what you charge for different kinds of services and products in your company, and then using that as a basis for ensuring that whatever your final invoice is per project, it is at or above the amount you need to make per your estimations on what you will spend for that job, if that makes sense. So X factor is your multiplier for any cost of good that you are expending for a job. So absolutely everything you have to do in order to make a job happen, job-based expenses, those are, we're calling those cost of goods. And your X factor is what all of those cost of goods need to be multiplied by in order to make sure that you are reaching your break-even point on what success is for you and your company. So a lot of price and profit design is figuring out where that happy place is and then figuring out what you need to get there. So the happy place has your we set our X factor to make sure that we meet that, and then anything beyond that is just gravy. So let's get into it. We're going to go through all of these little recipes. On the left, you have what we ended up buying for each of these arrangements. And on the right, you have kind of the base recipe that we started with. And these base recipes we categorize them by flower type. The reason we do that is we document everything we make. And then so if we had just made this, we had no recipe, we would categorize these flowers into a flower type. And the flower type is kind of based on how they function in arrangement, so that no matter what time of year, no matter what's available, we can always find something that will function in the same way. And then that way we always have a starting point for price, a starting point for quantity, so we're not overbuying. And then we can also hopefully get like a similar feel out of that arrangement. So base flower is a kind of flower that would be kind of structural and supportive. You might start with in order to support all the rest. Focal flower is just that. It's the more expensive things, the things you want to grab attention. Sometimes if there's just something that I know is like $5, I'll just, $5 a stem, then I will, or $3.25 a stem, or $5. Then I'll just call it a focal flower or categorize it like that. Secondary flowers are kind of the things that just kind of build out the shape. I don't want to call them fillers because there's plenty of beautiful, these are all really gorgeous secondary flowers over here. Sprouties are those kind of things that float above or tucked into. Special bits are those kind of more expensive things that might give some more texture. Pods, that's kind of what I put in special bits. Foliage, and then special foliage is just more expensive foliage. And so that pushes out a total for what I spent in these flowers. I always add 15% so that I can get these half bunches and partial bunches up to a full bunch plus a little extra. And 15% usually covers me on that. So my total wholesale cost for this bouquet was $86.59. which is not too far away from where my base recipe kind of put me at. My floral markup, I start with 3.5. Again, like we talked about, I am not too concerned with this floral markup. I just don't care if it's less or more or whatever, so long as you are covering your costs all the time. So, but I also put, kind of the suggested, what this might be on an invoice would be something around these ranges for this bouquet. The small centerpiece, here's the recipe for that. This one ended up being more expensive than what we ended up getting away with. I thought those are pretty small centerpieces, so I do not feel comfortable, going much higher than this. So I would not, I would not go. I wouldn't charge my client that. I'd probably going to go for this one. The large arrangement, same deal. Ended up being around $275. This one came out higher, $308. I was pretty happy with that one, so I might kind of push that towards the higher range. Boutonnieres, I'm actually really glad I did this. I've never done this for a boutonniere. I usually charge $25, but now I see maybe I should charge $30. So that's good to know. So my wholesale actual cost ended up being $258, and that's pretty good considering my if I had just, when I started with my flower recipes, it was suggesting I spend $298. So that's great that I was able to get all of the functions of all of the pieces for less. So I'm happy with that. If that was, if this was more, then I might be concerned, but that's pretty good. So $258. That is what our flowers cost, but that's not all of our cost of goods, because there's a lot of other things that go into making this, right? So I put my flower costs up here. I've estimated a $12 gas fee. This is how many hours I put into this job, either in estimated meeting time, design time, communicating to this client what they're going to get, and then making the flowers. I've estimated that my minimum need as business owner and a floral designer is $45 an hour. So I'm putting that in here as my cost. I actually don't do my pay like this. I do it a little bit differently, which we would go over in the course. But if I were just starting out, or if I was in the first couple of years, I would probably be counting my time as a cost of goods rather than a just outright expense, company expense, which is what I do now. But just for the sake of this demo, we're going to do my time as a cost of good. Production time would be a less expensive charge. If I was a solopreneur, then I might just charge a different rate for driving around and delivering, or not. But this would be like my assistant's time. So this would be kind of my out-of-pocket expense for her to go run around and deliver all this stuff. So 8 hours for that is what I had estimated. Parking fee, $5. Ribbon and tape, all that stuff, $3. So my costs, $707. My Xfactor, 2.5. So my minimum invoice, in order to be taking care of my company the way I need it to, in order to have enough money at the end of the year to support myself and my company in the way that I need it to, I need this invoice to be $1769. So that's my base. And then we can go through and start building this invoice to reflect this. And we kind of have we're kind of looking backwards on this. Usually we're going to estimate all this stuff and give it to the client beforehand. So we have the luxury right now of kind of going backwards, but so we will actually know how much time we spent, but we're just going to pretend that we're estimating it. So here's kind of the times. If you've read the email, then you will know that there was a lot of driving around for this job. So this is kind of design time. We have first meeting, and then 115 minutes to put something together so they know what they're getting. Driving around to the wholesaler. This is me making all the stuff. And then this is kind of the operations, getting it to the client, setting it up at the venue, that sort of thing. This is cleaning up shop. I really recommend you guys start adding the time it takes to clean up. It's a legitimate expense that is based on your job. You wouldn't be cleaning up your shop unless you made your own mess on your own accord. So I highly recommend that you start putting that into your estimates on operations fees. So let's go back over here. We're going to just start adding some costs in here to see what it takes to get up to this. Okay, this is the art part. I'm not going to lie. Okay, so we go back up here, the bouquet, 330. I think that's a good number. So that's just my flower markup. I'm going to add a little bit more in there because I spent a nice amount of time on that. Small centerpieces were 59. We will put those in here, 59. Large arrangement I thought was just pretty cool. So while it says 275, I might try to get up more towards that number. So let's do 295. Let's see what happens with that, huh? Here was 30 bucks, 31, can't remember, $31. How about that? 31, so precise. $3 base for the little guys, $10 base for the medium guy. Operations fee. So operations fee for me is the setup, teardown, delivery, and running around. Any van costs, any parking, any crew lunch, any tolls, all of the day of stuff, that's operations fee, and cleaning up afterwards. So we can go over to the times. I think, let's see how many minutes we had for that portion. Oh, 319, great. So that's about 6 hours, right? 6 hours. Let me think. 319 divided by 60, 5.5. All that 6 hours. So if we're just doing hours, then let's go back up here. So production time, this would be, I would have my assistant deliver this. So $20. This is what it cost me to have this person in my life and in my business. So I need to charge my client more. I charge $50 right now for driving around, delivery, that sort of thing. Setting up, crews tearing down. Oops. So that is for the time. That's called a billing rate. If you're not doing billing rates, I suggest you do some billing rates. Billing rates are 2 times, typically 2 or more times what you spent. Let's see. So that is billing rate. Let's see. There's probably about 20 more dollars in here. Let's just bring that up to 400. Oops. And at this point, I'm just going to say flat fee, 400 bucks. Okay. Design fee. I spent 210 minutes here designing. And that is 10 divided by 60, 3.5 hours. So, I could be transparent with my rates and just do that. I charge $100 an hour for design time. And look at that. We are above minimum invoice. So I could stop here, or if I wanted to, if I was feeling weird or whatever, if I wanted to add another thing, then I could add a $20 thing. I could, actually just do what it's cost for that. Oop, not quite. Point is, we are over what we need it to be over. And it's at the point now where I've done this so many times that I kind of know beforehand, what I should be charging. I'm very clear about my clients, what kind of budget they have. So if I didn't think that they were comfortable spending something like this, I probably would have found a different starter recipe to go with. If I didn't know that if I wasn't sure that they would be okay with a $300 bouquet, then I wouldn't have gotten that recipe and we wouldn't have spent that much money. So I guess my point is, if this was something that makes your stomach hurt, then, or my client's stomach hurt, then I would start trying to figure out a way where I'm not going to be incurring these costs, because I know that I have to make this, and with these costs, it has to be this or more, or else I'm not going to get there. So I would, either reduce the arrangement size. I would suggest, for this particular client with all those drop-offs, I would suggest that I don't drop off the bouquet to the hotel, or that I don't come back at the end of the night and return, they just drop off the vases, or that they pick it up from me and just avoid all those operations fee in the first place. But the point is, it has to come out of what you're spending, not just what they're paying. And that's really kind of the foundation of what we go through in price and profit design, is figuring out what you need and getting total confidence in maintaining that and how to maintain that. So I hope this has been interesting. I hope you have some questions. I'd love to hear them. I'm super excited about this, and I'm looking forward to sharing more with you. But Deborah's very special to me, and I wanted to share this with her community as well. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me, Emily at curiouslola.com, and I'll get you some questions answered. Thank you so much, guys. Talk to you later.